Snow White Part 3. In this video, you will learn these idioms. Make sure you stick around until the end because the last idiom is a game changer you won't want to miss. So let's begin. That evening, the dwarfs came home and found Snow White lying on the ground as if dead, but soon discovered the poisoned ribbon and untied it, and almost as soon as this was done, Snow White revived again. Next morning, the queen went once more to the mirror on the wall and called out, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of us all?" To which the mirror replied without any change, "Queen, queen, on thy throne, Snow White's the fairest, thou must own." And the queen recognized that once again her plans had gone to the dogs. Gone to the dogs means deteriorated or fallen into a very poor condition. Example, since the new management took over, the quality of the service has really gone to the dogs. And the queen recognized that once again her plans had gone to the dogs and Snow White was still alive, so she dressed herself once more and took with her a poisoned apple, which was so arranged that only one half of it was poisoned and the rest of it was left as before. And when the queen got to the hut of the dwarfs, she tried to open the door, but Snow White called out, "You can't come in." "Then I will come to the window," said the queen. "Ah, you are the old lady that came twice before. You have not brought me a good luck. Each time something has befallen me." But the queen said, "I do not know how that can be. I only brought you something for your hair. Perhaps you tied it too tight. To show you that I have no ill will against you, I have brought you this beautiful apple." "But my guardians," said Snow White, "told me that I must not take nothing more from you." "Oh, this is nothing to wear," said the queen. "This is something to eat, to show you that there can be no harm in it. But I will take half of it myself, and you shall eat the other half." So she cut the apple into two and gave the poisoned half to Snow White. And the moment she had swallowed the first bite of it, she fell down like a house of cards. Like a house of cards means something that is very fragile or insubstantial and can easily collapse. Example, their elaborate scheme was like a house of cards and fell apart with the slightest pressure. "I will take half of it myself, and you shall eat the other half." So she cut the apple into two and gave the poisoned half to Snow White, and the moment she had swallowed the first bite of it, she fell down like a house of cards. Then the queen slunk away and went back to the palace, and went at once to her chamber and addressed the mirror on the wall. "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of us all?" And this time the mirror answered, as it used to do, "Queen, queen, on thy throne, the greatest beauty is thine own." And then the queen knew that Snow White was dead at last, and that she was without a rival in beauty. When the dwarfs came home that night, they found Snow White lying upon the ground quite dead, and could not find out what had happened or how they could turn the tables. Turn the table means to change a situation so that you now have an advantage over someone who previously had an advantage over you. Example, after being played for most of the match, the underdog team managed to turn the tables in the final minutes and win the game. Then the queen knew that Snow White was dead at last, and that she was without a rival in beauty. When the dwarfs came home that night, they found Snow White lying upon the ground, quite dead, and could not find out what had happened or how they could turn the tables on fate. But though she seemed dead, Snow White kept her beautiful white skin and seemed more like a statue than a dead person. So the dwarfs had a glass coffer made and put Snow White in and locked it up, and she remained there for days and days without changing the slightest, looking so beautiful under the glass case. Now, the great prince of the neighboring country happened to be on a wild goose chase. A wild goose chase means engaged in a futile search or pursuit of something that is unattainable. Example, we spent hours looking for the misplaced documents, but it turned out to be a wild goose chase as they were in a completely different office, looking so beautiful under the glass case. Now, a great prince of the neighboring country happened to be on a wild goose chase near the hill of the dwarfs and called at their hut to get a glass of water. And when he came in, he found nobody there but Snow White lying in her crystal coffer. And he fell at once in love with her and sat by her side till the dwarfs came home, and he asked them how she was. Then they told him her history, and he begged that he might carry the coffer away so that he might always have her near him. At first, they would not do so, but he showed how much he loved her, so that they at last yielded, and he called for his men to carry the coffer home to his palace. And then the men commenced carrying the coffer down the mountain. They jolted it so much that the piece of poisoned apple in Snow White's throat fell out, and she revived, and opened her eyes and looked upon the prince who was riding by her side. Then he ordered the coffer to be opened and told her all that had happened. And he took her home to his castle and married her. After this happened, the queen once more came to her room and spoke to the mirror on the wall and said, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of us all?" And the mirror this time said again, "Queen, queen, on thy throne, Snow White's the fairest thou must own." And the queen was so enraged that she had not destroyed Snow White that she rushed to the window and threw herself out of it and beat the dust. But the dust means to fail, be defeated, or cease to exist. Example, after years of struggle to stay afloat, the old bookstore finally bit the dust last month. "Queen, queen, on thy throne, Snow White's the fairest thou must own." And the queen was so enraged that she had not destroyed Snow White that she rushed to the window and threw herself out of it and beat the dust. In this video, you have learned these idioms, so keep revising these frequently.